How would you feel about swimming backstroke faster without having to work any harder? Well, if that sounds good to you, you're in the right place because I'm going to break down one of my favorite backstroke drills that will improve your backstroke technique and make you much more efficient. Stick around because I bet this drill is one that you haven't seen before. Let's get into it. What's up guys, I'm CoachMattZ. I'm the head coach of Davis Aquatic Masters out in California, and I also make YouTube videos for people looking to learn more and elevate their swimming. If you want to become a better and more efficient swimmer, click that subscribe button and start watching. Your support helps the channel continue to grow and I really appreciate it. Now, before we get into this drill, I want to first talk about your backstroke pull. So let's go through it step by step. First, we want our hand to enter just outside shoulder width with your pinky down and your thumb up. We want to quickly bend the elbow and get your fingertips pointed out to the side. In this position, you're able to catch water with your hand and your forearm just like you do when you're swimming freestyle. And the cool thing about this is if you shift your body around, you'll see that your arm is actually in the exact same position as it is when you're doing the proper freestyle pull. Your body is just oriented a little different, but the arm position is the same. As you pull down towards your hip, your hand should stay underwater and sort of follow a flattened S-curve. We want the hand to be about 6 inches underwater. It should not break the surface. At the end of the pull, you press your hand down, which will help pop your hip up. Then exit thumb first, recover your arm back up just outside shoulder width and do it all over again. Now this seems pretty simple, but it's a lot harder than it actually looks like most things in swimming. And it's definitely going to take some practice and some drill work to get it down. And there's a few very common mistakes that I want you to look out for. Mistake number one is entering behind your head. And oh my God, this is such a common mistake. I see it all the time. People overreach and enter way too narrow. The problem with this is when your hand is behind your head, there's not much for you to grab onto, and you end up wasting a lot of time just trying to catch some water. So it's really important that we enter just outside of shoulder width. Mistake number two is not bending the elbow and missing that early catch. A lot of people like to pull with a straight arm or drop their elbow as they pull. These are big no-nos. We don't pull with a straight arm in freestyle because it's bad for your shoulder, it's not as powerful, and it creates a lot of drag. And we certainly don't want to drop our elbow when we pull in freestyle because it's inefficient and slow. So let's not do either of those here in backstroke. The third and final mistake to watch out for is breaking the surface with your hand as you are doing your pull. When you push against the air, you don't go very fast. This is why we can't fly. But when you push against the water, you can propel yourself forward. So it's important that you keep your hand underwater throughout the pull. When I see people breaking the surface, it seems to come down to two issues. The first is that you're not rotating enough because if you're really flat on your back, it's hard to keep your hands underwater. The second is that you're making too big of an S-curve and it's like you're arm wrestling the water as you're pulling. Remember, we want that curve to be pretty flat and a few inches underwater. Now these mistakes are all very common, and even if you're an elite backstroker, there's a good chance you're making at least one of them. The good news though is I've got one drill that can help you solve all of these mistakes and make your backstroke much faster without having to work any harder. So without further ado, let's break it down. All right guys, let's talk about this elusive drill. I call this one kayak. I would recommend using fins for this drill, although it's definitely not a requirement. So essentially what you're going to do here is you're going to grab a kickboard and hold on to the ends of it, and you're going to swim backstroke using the kickboard as if it's like the oar of a kayak. So let's run through this drill step by step here. For starters, make sure you push the kickboard down from your entry to your exit. Don't try to pull it. Almost everybody makes that mistake the first time they try this, so make sure you understand that before you start the drill. You're going to be holding on to the ends of the board and you're going to enter the kickboard just outside your shoulder width. It's nearly impossible to enter too narrow because of how you're holding onto this board. So mistake number one, solved. Next, you're going to turn the kickboard so it's pointed down towards your feet like the oar of a kayak. This is going to force you to get your elbow into the correct position super early in your stroke, which will in turn solve mistake number two. Finally, you're going to push the kickboard through the water, keeping it about halfway under. Try to make a pretty straight line with the board from the entry to the exit. This is going to force you to keep your pull at the correct depth and keep you away from arm wrestling the water. Mistake number three, solved. Now this drill will probably take you a few tries to get the hang of it, especially if you have a hard time with your pull. But once you figure it out, it's pretty easy. It'll clean up a lot of your backstroke issues, and you're gonna look pretty cool while you're doing it. So give it a try and let me know in the comments how it goes. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to me. I'm CoachMattZ. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I'll see you next time.